What is up? This is your LA in a minute, and I'm here under these hideous transmission lines that blanket our city. In fact, there are 15,000 miles, enough to get from LA to Australia and back, some of which are deadly to the touch. So why are they here? How did they start? Why are there so many? And why don't we just put them underground? Let's get into it. So LA's distribution networks are, as you can probably imagine, massive. These lines crisscross all over the city to supply power to every single connected structure. The LA Department of Water and Power is the nation's largest municipal utility and supplies all the power that Los Angeles uses every day. Exactly how much power does Los Angeles use? Overall, the LA DWP system supplies an average of over 26 million megawatt hours of electricity to LA every year. To put that in perspective, the normal home in Los Angeles uses 1 megawatt hour every 5 weeks. So moving around all this power takes a massive transmission and distribution infrastructure. This requires 15,000 of these transmission towers, which funnel the energy to one of these 160 distribution stations, which are generally pretty beautiful buildings, by the way, which in turn goes to one of the 21 receiving stations, subsequently going to one of the 128,000 distribution transformers, which is connected via the power lines, transmission lines, and cables on one of over 300,000 distribution utility poles, which goes to your house or business. But let's go back to the beginning. In 1853, the first telegraph line on the Pacific coast was strung across the branches of pine trees and reached Los Angeles by 1860. The success with telegraph wires led to the use of poles to distribute electricity. But even back then, the inventor of these telegraph poles, also the inventor of Morse code, Samuel Morse, tried to put the telegraph lines underground because he thought they were ugly. But the first few lines failed, so he turned to placing the lines overhead. With electricity, the transmission voltages increased, taller and wider steel structures replaced wooden poles, and H-frame structures became the norm. In fact, the first power lines in the United States to use all lattice steel towers came from the 243-mile-long Big Creek Powerhouse No. 1 to the Eagle Rock Olive Substation in 1913. By 1914, Los Angeles had the most robust transmission system of any city in the world, but unfortunately that meant more wires and cables. Now, fortunately, Los Angeles did have the foresight to start installing underground cables in 1897 with LA Edison Electric Company, but unfortunately, it cost a lot of money and it was not widespread until the 1950s. It is worth noting the extreme danger of power lines, so do not touch one, downed or otherwise. The electrified poles cause thousands of small fires every year, and sometimes some very big fires. So next time you're driving around LA, just take a look at the number of transmission lines it takes to connect this city. I guarantee you'll never look at Los Angeles the same way again. All right, LA, it's been a minute.